An excerpt from the Ambler warning. The van. He recognized everything about it. It was part of an emergency, quote-unquote, retrieval service used by clandestine branches of the federal government for sensitive domestic, quote-unquote, pickups. Whether involving rogue agents or foreign operatives on U.S. soil, such parcels had in common that they were not destined for any branch of the official justice system. And on this wet and cold January morning, Harrison Ambler was the parcel to be picked up. No explanations would need to be offered to the local police because he would have vanished long before their arrival. This was no open confrontation. What they had orchestrated was a swift, unnoticed abduction. In showing up here in the first place, Ambler realized he had permitted wishful thinking to swamp his better judgment. He could afford no more mistakes. He had to think. Or rather, he had to feel. After 2 decades as a field operative, Ambler had been forced to master the requisites of escape and evasion. It was second nature to him. But he never approached it through grids of logic, decision trees, and the other arid devices that trainers sometimes foisted upon the tyros. The challenge was to feel your way out of situations, improvising as seemed necessary. To do otherwise was to fall into a rut of routine, and anything that was routinized could be anticipated and countered by adversaries. Ambler scanned the street in front of the Baskerton building. A 3-point blockage would have been standard procedure. At either end of the block, a unit would have been in place before the van had pulled up opposite. Indeed, Ambler could see armed men, some uniformed, some not, moving toward the building from both directions with the purposeful stride of experienced retrieval agents. Now what? He could bolt into the lobby of the building and search out a rear exit. But the move would have been anticipated, precautions taken against it. He could wait for a passing crowd of pedestrians, join them, then try to outrace the men stationed at the far end of the block. There were dangers to that tack as well. Stop thinking, Ambler told himself. It was the only way to outsmart them. Staring at the man with the short-barreled rifle who was hastening across the boulevard, Ambler willed himself to see all that he could of his face, even as the drizzle turned to showers. And then he decided to do the most dangerous thing of all. He ran directly toward the man. "What took you so long?" Ambler bellowed at him. "Haul ass, damn it! He's getting away." He swiveled around and gestured vigorously with his thumb toward the lobby of the Baskerton Towers. "We got here as soon as we could," the man with the carbine replied. The other two, Ambler could see now as they hurried past him, carried tactical .45s, 12 rounds in the magazine. It was a lot of firepower to capture one man, assuming that the orders were to capture. Now Ambler walked heavily across the street to the idling retrieval van. Its passengers had fanned out around the area of the Baskerton lobby. It would be only moments before they realized their error. Ambler approached the driver's door of the white van, flipped open the wallet that had belonged to the Parish Island supervisor, and held it up to the driver for a brief moment, as if displaying a badge or certificate. He was too far away for the driver to make anything out. The authority of the gesture itself would have to convince. As the driver powered down the window, Ambler took his measure. The man's eyes were hard, watchful, and his neck was short and thickly muscled. A weightlifter. "You guys get the change in orders?" Ambler demanded. "It's kill, not capture. And what took you so long? If you'd been in place a minute earlier, we'd be all done." The driver said nothing for a moment. Then his gaze hardened. "That thing you showed me, I couldn't see it." Suddenly Ambler felt the man's big, beefy hand grab his right wrist. "I said I couldn't see it." The driver's voice was low, menacing. "Show me again." With his left hand, Ambler reached into his jacket for the pistol he had taken from the guardsman on the boat, but the driver was superbly trained with lightning-fast reflexes. He smashed the heel of his free hand into the P7, sending the weapon flying into the air. Ambler had to act immediately. He wrenched his wrist around, yanked it toward his body and up to the level of his shoulders, then sharply down, using his forearm like a crowbar, and slammed the driver's arm against the edge of the mostly lowered window. The driver yelped, but he didn't let go. His grip was like steel. With his other hand, he was beginning to feel for an under the dashboard compartment, no doubt where a weapon of some sort was stored. Ambler let his right arm go limp, let the driver pull him part of the way into the cab. Then, with his other hand, he spear-punched the man's larynx with a carefully aimed blow. The driver released him and leaned forward, both hands tearing at his collar. He was struggling for breath as the ruined cartilage impeded his airflow. Ambler opened the door and pulled the driver from his seat. The man took a few steps away from the van before collapsing to the ground. As Ambler climbed aboard, gunned the motor, and sped down the street, he could hear the cries of confusion among the men of the second unit, but it was too late for them to take action. Ambler did not envy the team leader who had to explain how the parcel not only had escaped from under their noses, but escaped in the team's own vehicle. Yet his maneuver involved no calculation or forethought. Reflecting upon it now, he realized that his action sprang from a look on the first man's face. Searching, wary, and uncertain. A hunter who was not sure whether he had found his quarry. The retrieval team had been dispatched too quickly to have been provided with photographs. Ambler was expected to do what fugitives almost invariably do in such situations, identify himself by attempting to flee. But how to give chase when the fox was running with the hounds?